I can guarantee that the overwhelming majority of people who have tried NoFap have relapsed countless times. Relapsing is a big problem that a lot of recovering and non-recovering Kroomers have gone through. Many of you want to hit the 30, 60, 90-day mark and experience the benefits that others claim they've experienced, but you can't because you keep caving into sexual temptation. In this hypersexualized world, it's almost impossible to scroll on social media or walk down the street without seeing some ass. So naturally, we're all kind of in veteran mode when it comes to escaping lust and desexualizing our brains. I've personally tried countless methods proposed by YouTubers, books, and Reddit to go on long NoFap streaks. Some of the methods were extremely helpful and some not so much. So I'm basically going to be synthesizing my 6 years of NoFap experience into a tier list to help you guys filter through the BS and do what actually works. Let's get into it. So cold showers are great for physical and mental health. They trigger the release of endorphins, which reduce stress and anxiety. They improve blood flow and circulation and reduce inflammation. They also just make you feel great and give you a boost of energy. But how good are they for preventing relapses? Well, some would argue they improve discipline because it's hard getting into cold water, which translates to the discipline needed to not fap, but this is pseudoscience. The reason cold showers are a great relapse prevention protocol in the first place is because they relax your nervous system and breathing, which gives you better autonomy over your body and improved decision making. The only downside to cold showers is they cause a surplus of energy, which bro, like if you're not used to, it can make you jittery, anxious, it can make you like all over the place, which makes you more likely to relapse. I personally found cold showers helpful, but only temporarily. You can't take a cold shower every single time you get an urge. That's just not practical, so for that reason, B tier. Lust is a demon you can't fight alone. You need a higher power to give you the strength to overcome your addictions and temptations. Everything in this world is designed to take you off a righteous path and send you into a pit of darkness. The modern world is hypersexualized and revolves around instant gratification. We all know this, and while you may experience temporary success going on a cute little NoFap streak, you will always eventually end up in square one because you're not strong enough to make a permanent change on your own. You see guys, a strong spiritual belief beyond yourself and the material world is needed to have the conviction to stay on such a difficult path and regain full freedom and control over yourself. The world's vibration is fucking low and it's gonna keep trying to suck you back in, and you will need a higher power to prevent you from being led astray. S tier. One thing people don't understand about not busting nuts is that energy is constantly building up inside you, and so if you don't have any physical outlets, a relapse is pretty much inevitable. Like there's no way you can prevent that shit. I found that weight training is among the best physical outlets to channel your energy, but not just any weight training. Specifically, compound exercises like squats and deadlift coupled with low reps and heavy weight is really a cheat code. You have to leave the gym feeling like you exerted every last ounce of energy in your sets, and you'll know you did this right when you go home from a hard workout and don't get any urges for the rest of the day. You might get some weak urges, but you'll be so gassed that you won't even be bothered to entertain them. A tier. Cardio is something that a lot of people on NoFap neglect, which is sad because it's literally one of the best ways to channel sexual energy. Things like martial arts, running, playing a sport, they all work wonders for keeping your urges at bay and helping you manage the abundance of sexual energy which is going to build up inside you when you go on those long streaks. Not to mention, most cardio related activities have a competitive aspect which causes you to try even harder than you would just, lifting weights by yourself. I personally do martial arts, so like after a day of training, I feel so blissful and calm, which is great because inner and outer tension is usually what causes people to spiral into relapsing. So the less tension you have in your body, the less tension you have in your mind, which makes you less likely to indulge in bad habits. A tier. Now we're getting into the real gold mine. Meditation is one of the best ways to see your own thoughts from a third-person perspective and pick up on your little subconscious tendencies and habits. Once you observe yourself by watching your mind, you can dig into the thought patterns that eventually lead to relapses and short-circuit them. Meditation helps in detaching from your thoughts and emotions and not being so heavily identified with them. All an urge is a buildup of thoughts and emotions, and meditation allows you to see that and break free from its control. Really powerful stuff if you do this consistently. S tier. Now, I'll be honest, man, I know this is pretty controversial, but journaling didn't really help me much with NoFap. It's nice to have your thoughts on paper and reflect on your actions, but it's not very practical with preventing relapses. I was still relapsing constantly despite journaling every day in the past, I'll be honest. So I don't think it's as helpful as some people make it out to be, but it's still good for other things like reflecting on your habits and tendencies and whatnot. But for the sake of this video, D tier. This is probably single-handedly the best method to go on long streaks, and no one really seems to understand why breathing exercises are so effective, so allow me to explain. When you retain, energy builds up in your lower spine/pelvic floor region. Sexual conditioning makes it difficult for this energy to travel upwards through the spine, so it ends up building up in your root chakra area, aka your penis, which causes an intense desire to release. This is the only outlet your body's familiar with. By consciously doing breathing exercises such as Kundalini, Qigong, or like basic deep breathing shit, you start to channel the energy up the spine and into your crown through inhalation, where some of that energy dissipates into creativity, flow, and presence, and then all the way back down, which is the exhalation. And then this creates a circuit-like flow of energy instead of it all being stagnant in one place, because if that's the case, you're bound to explode at some point. Proper breathing exercises done consistently will not only reduce urges, I mean seriously, try deep breathing and being relaxed the next time you get temptation, and watch how that urge has no power over you when you're in a relaxed state, but also it'll give you an abundance of energy, creativity, and mental strength. S tier. People propose going out and having a social life as a solution to PMO addiction, but I found this to be pretty untrue. I mean, having a social life doesn't magically solve addictive behavior or reprogram your mind to channel your lust into more productive outlets. It's great for mental health and living a fulfilling life, but it won't help you go on long streaks if that's your goal. D tier. Now, I don't know why there's so many YouTubers out there who act like the magic formula for NoFap is to stop counting the days, when it makes no psychological difference at all. I can tell you guys from personal experience, I've relapsed the exact same whether I counted the days or not, right? So stopping the day count doesn't magically give you a boost of willpower and discipline, nor does it make the urges any weaker. D tier. I've tried Kegels coupled with breathwork for sexual transmutation, and it works pretty well for strengthening the pelvic floor muscles, but I think the breathing component really carried, to be honest. If you want to last longer in bed, then I guess Kegels can help, but I'm pretty skeptical of their effects on NoFap directly. I don't know, maybe I just need to try them more. For now though, C tier. The eyes are the gateway to the soul, and social media is a gateway to porn. Apps like TikTok and Instagram have basically become softcore porn at this point, and you can be one of those guys who says, I'm disciplined enough to look at half-naked chicks and not relapse, but you're fighting an uphill battle that I guarantee you will lose. You have to guard your eyes the same way a warrior guards his body with armor and a shield. Everything is being digested by your subconscious, and lustful thoughts will slowly build up in the background and catch you off guard, eventually causing a relapse. You have to be conscious with the inputs you feed your mind. Deleting social media is a powerful tool to not give yourself the option to look at lustful images. No matter how disciplined you think you are, no one is strong enough to enter the devil's playground and face him head on, so you might as well just flee. The less unnecessary sexual stimuli you're exposed to, the less likely you are to relapse. S tier. Progressive deloading is the idea that instead of trying to quit fapping cold turkey, we reduce the frequency of fapping gradually over the course of months and years. I've tried this method, but I'm not a fan of it because it didn't work well for me. I would reduce my fapping from, let's say, 7 times a week to 4 times a week, then 3 times a week, and then it would eventually go back up to 7 times a week again, and I'd lose all progress. Your dopamine receptors are selfish, so it's really hard to convince your brain to gradually reduce its pleasure-seeking mechanism. In fact, this will only make your brain more aggressively seek the reward. I binged the most when I tried progressive deloading. There's a term called the chaser effect, which is a spike in libido and PMO cravings after you relapse once. So all progressive deloading will do is keep you in a cycle of perpetual fake progress before you inevitably binge again to make up for the dopamine deficit. D tier. The easy peasy method is an idea from a website and ebook called Easy Peasy, which claims to enable the reader to quit porn effortlessly and without discipline or willpower. This is all done simply by undoing the brainwashing that PMO is good for you or offers any value to your life, and realizing that you don't want nor need it. I think it works well for quitting porn specifically, but if you want to quit fapping entirely, I found it to be subpar because it doesn't talk about the biological urge associated with fapping, right? So whether you rationally understand that PMO offers no benefits or not, it still won't stop you from making a bad decision under the illusion of lust, because let's be honest, all rationality goes out the window once the urge hits. Easy peasy is alright, but in my opinion, it's really not a magical cure. C tier. Yes, believe it or not guys, peeing is actually a great anti-relapse method. The next time you have a really strong urge, consider that it might be a desire to piss, mistaken with the desire to relapse. Before you judge it, just try it. I think it works pretty well sometimes. B tier. Now, hanging upside down is a great way to brute force sexual transmutation. It brings all the blood flow from your penis to your head, and an erection can't exist without blood. I personally don't do these anymore, but you'll know you're doing it right if you get tingles in the top of your head and feel a little lightheaded after. A tier. This is the only one I haven't really tried for an extended period of time because of how much it's talked about by NoFap/semen retention people. I just had to include it in the list. A lot of people say that yoga has helped them with sexual impulse control and becoming spiritually enlightened, and it's a pretty healthy thing to do overall, so I guess I'll give it an A tier. Sugar contributes to dopamine spikes, and because of the chaser effect, this would cause your brain to seek out more dopamine, thereby increasing sexual urges. Every time I watch my sugar intake and eat more lean proteins, vegetables, and nuts, I always find that it's much easier to go on long streaks. B tier. Sunlight's a great tool to regulate dopamine and serotonin levels, which are usually unbalanced if you're fapping, right? Getting daily sunlight helps in managing withdrawal symptoms and getting you out of the flat line faster. So I'm gonna give it a B tier. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. If you have any other tier list suggestions, make sure to let me know. It's been your boy YBC2Cold, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.